If you're over 60, chances are you've developed a comforting morning ritual, perhaps a sweet iced coffee, a glass of orange juice, or maybe an energy drink that promises to wake you up fast. But have you ever paused to ask, is this really the best way to start your day, especially for your heart, brain, and circulation? Because there's a quiet truth most people don't talk about. Every sip you take in the first hour of waking can either protect your brain, or silently push you closer to a stroke. And sometimes, it's not the big things, it's the small, daily habits that no one questions. After 6 to 8 hours of sleep, your body is mildly dehydrated. You've lost fluid through breathing, through your skin, and through basic overnight functions. So when you open your eyes in the morning, your blood is thicker, your blood vessels are tighter, and your heart is working harder just to circulate. If you reach for the wrong drink, one loaded with caffeine, sugar, or artificial chemicals, you can create a perfect storm in your bloodstream before you've even brushed your teeth. The scary part? You won't feel it. No chest pain. No dizziness. No warning. But inside, your blood pressure is spiking, your arteries are constricting, and your risk of stroke is quietly rising. One clinical study published by the U.S. National Institutes of Health found that consuming sugar, stimulants, or caffeine within 30 minutes of waking triples the risk of blood clot formation in adults over 60. Why? Because your body is in a fragile state, your vessels are dry, your blood is sluggish, and your organs are adjusting from rest to activity. Let me share a true story. Mr. Hung, a 67-year-old retired teacher from Ohio, used to start every single morning with a bright orange energy drink. He said it gave him quick clarity without the bitterness of coffee. He drank it religiously for 5 years until one quiet morning, while brushing his teeth, he suddenly collapsed. He wasn't hypertensive, didn't have diabetes, and had no prior warning. But the ER diagnosed him with an ischemic stroke. Lab results showed abnormal heart rhythms and dangerously high blood pressure just minutes after waking. The culprit? That morning drink he trusted. And he's not alone. According to the American Heart Association, over 60% of strokes in people over 60 happen in the early morning hours. Researchers believe one of the biggest triggers is the body's shift from rest to movement, especially when combined with poor hydration and stimulant-filled beverages. So what drinks are the worst offenders? The first is sweet iced coffee. It may taste refreshing, but for older adults, it delivers a brutal 1-2 punch. Caffeine speeds up your heart, narrows your blood vessels, and increases adrenaline. Sugar spikes your blood glucose, strains your pancreas, and increases inflammation. If your coffee includes syrup, whipped toppings, or sweetened creamers, you're also loading on sodium and artificial fats, which add stress to your kidneys and heart. A European clinical study on older adults found that daily consumption of sweet coffee in the morning made people nearly 3 times more likely to experience unstable blood pressure and lightheadedness. If you love coffee, that's okay. But switch to a smarter version, cold brew with no added sugar, a splash of unsweetened almond or oat milk, and skip the toppings. Your heart and brain will thank you. Next is packaged fruit juice. Many believe it's a healthy choice, but for people over 60, it can be risky. These juices often contain high natural and added sugars with almost no fiber. That means sugar floods your bloodstream instantly, causing blood pressure swings and insulin spikes. A Harvard study found that the glycemic index of apple juice is twice as high as that of a whole apple. Without the fiber from the peel and pulp, your arteries get hit hard. For seniors with diabetes or prediabetes, this can be dangerous. The better choice? Blend whole fruits, skin, seeds, and all into a smoothie. You'll still get the flavor, but with a slow, steady release of nutrients and far less impact on your vessels. Then we have the no sugar trap, diet sodas and artificial drinks. Just because there's no sugar on the label doesn't mean they're safe. These drinks often include sweeteners like aspartame or sucralose, which can alter your gut microbiome, disrupt metabolism, and even trigger insulin responses, despite containing 0 calories. A 2017 American Stroke Association study found that daily diet soda drinkers had twice the risk of stroke compared to non-drinkers. For seniors, the effect is amplified due to slower kidney function and a higher sensitivity to chemicals. These drinks also mask your body's natural thirst, so you drink less water, stay mildly dehydrated, and increase your risk of blood clots. If you want something fizzy, go for sparkling water with a splash of lemon or cucumber. You'll stay hydrated and avoid triggering a vascular storm. What about energy drinks and electrolyte sports drinks? The truth is, they're not made for older bodies. These beverages often contain very high levels of caffeine, sugar, sodium, and ingredients like guarana or taurine, which overstimulate the nervous system. For someone over 60, that means rapid heartbeat, high blood pressure, and increased risk of cardiac arrhythmia, especially in those with heart conditions or on blood pressure medication. Even if you don't feel it immediately, the effects accumulate and so does the damage. If you need energy, try warm lemon water with a pinch of Himalayan salt. It gently hydrates and provides minerals without shocking your system. But perhaps the biggest mistake isn't what you drink, it's what you skip. And that's water. Yes, plain, room temperature water. Most seniors wake up and go straight for coffee, juice, or pills, forgetting to hydrate first. But after hours of sleep, your blood is thicker, your vessels are less elastic, and your brain needs oxygen. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that seniors who skip water in the first 30 minutes of waking are 3 times more likely to suffer a stroke, due to reduced oxygen delivery and clot formation. I'll share another real story. Ms. Hoa, a 68-year-old woman, fainted in her kitchen while cooking. She wasn't diabetic, didn't have high blood pressure, and wasn't on medication. But she had one habit: each morning she drank cold orange juice and took her diuretic pill without any water. That morning, her blood pressure crashed, her blood thickened, and the result was a mild stroke. All because she skipped the simplest, most powerful habit: a glass of water. It may sound dramatic, but these stories are common and they're preventable. Seniors don't need radical diets or complicated routines. You just need to start your morning the right way. The takeaway is this: don't wait for symptoms to show up. If you notice one side of your face drooping, or your smile feels uneven, if your arm feels weak or your speech is slurred, even briefly, don't write it off as just aging. These could be signs of a TIA, a mini stroke, and a major warning that something's wrong. Every morning is a chance to protect your brain. A chance to prevent inflammation, thicken blood, and silent vessel damage. And the first step is often the simplest: drink a full glass of water right after waking, before coffee, pills, or breakfast. That one choice could save your life, or the life of someone you love. When you wake up in the morning, your body is not in the same state as it was the night before. Especially for people over 60, the first few moments of the day are more delicate than many realize. During the 6 to 8 hours of sleep, your body has been fasting from fluids. Even though you've been resting, you've been continuously losing water through your skin, your breath, and your kidneys. And when the body becomes mildly dehydrated overnight, your blood naturally becomes more concentrated. That means it's thicker, slower moving, and more likely to form clots if you're not careful. This is not a random guess, it's a well-documented fact. Multiple clinical studies, including one published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, have confirmed that mild dehydration in older adults in the early morning hours contributes to a significant increase in stroke risk, particularly ischemic strokes, which are caused by blood clots blocking arteries in the brain. Now imagine what happens when, instead of gently rehydrating the body, you pour in a drink that pushes your system further out of balance. Drinks high in sugar, caffeine, or artificial additives not only fail to rehydrate you, they stimulate your nervous system, constrict your blood vessels, and accelerate your heart rate. This sudden stress, combined with already thickened blood, creates a dangerous environment for clot formation. And the risk isn't theoretical, it's real. Most seniors don't think twice before reaching for their usual morning beverage, often believing they're making a neutral or even healthy choice. But what they may not realize is that the body at 60 or 70 doesn't react the same way it did at 30 or 40. As we age, the elasticity of our blood vessels decreases. Our kidneys process fluids more slowly. Our cardiovascular system takes longer to adjust to changes in posture, blood volume, and pressure. So even a seemingly minor act like skipping water or drinking a strong sweet coffee on an empty stomach can have ripple effects across the entire circulatory system. The result? Sudden dizziness, irregular heartbeat, or worse, early morning stroke, which, according to the American Stroke Association, happens more frequently between 6 o'clock and 10 a.m. than at any other time of day. So why does the body become so vulnerable to stroke risk right after waking? It starts with dehydration, but it doesn't stop there. During sleep, our blood pressure naturally drops as our body relaxes. When we stand up in the morning, the body needs to quickly adjust. If it's not supported with proper hydration, this transition becomes unstable. On top of that, aging often brings chronic low-grade inflammation, higher sodium retention, and slower circulation. Now layer on top of that a hot cup of sweetened caffeine or a glass of juice, and you have a recipe for vascular strain. There's a reason doctors often say, your blood is like a river. In the morning, that river flows slower, narrower, and with more debris. What it needs isn't stimulation, it's restoration. It needs water. Room temperature water, nothing added, nothing taken away. This simple habit can gently restore blood volume, improve oxygen delivery, and support smoother circulation. Yet many seniors overlook this first step. They rush into the day, coffee brewing, pills swallowed, breakfast on the table, but the one thing the body truly needs at that moment is forgotten. It's not about cutting coffee or avoiding everything you enjoy, it's about timing and sequence. The body is like a machine that starts cold each morning. If you flood it with stimulants before oiling the gears, you risk overheating and breakdown. But if you hydrate first, you prepare the system to handle what comes next. For older adults, especially those managing high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, or cholesterol, the first 30 minutes after waking should be treated like a gentle warm-up. Not a sprint. That means giving the body what it's asking for: hydration, oxygen, and stability. Over the next several parts, we'll go into detail about the specific types of drinks that pose the most danger and how to replace them with smarter choices. But for now, just remember this: thick blood plus morning stimulant equals elevated stroke risk. And the antidote is shockingly simple: a full glass of room temperature water, sipped slowly right after waking. It's not a trendy detox or miracle cure. It's just physiology. And sometimes, what saves us isn't what's flashy or new, but what's basic, consistent, and quietly powerful. Let me take you into the real-life story of someone who, like many seniors, never imagined that a simple morning habit could lead to a life-changing event. His name is Mr. Joseph, a 67-year-old retired accountant from Ohio. He lived a quiet life, kept up with regular checkups, had no history of hypertension or diabetes, and stayed mentally sharp. Each morning, he started his day the same way, by drinking a chilled, orange-flavored energy drink that he believed gave him a quick mental boost without the bitterness of coffee. For 5 years, it was his daily ritual. He even kept a small stock in his garage refrigerator to make sure he never ran out. His family sometimes teased him about it, but he always smiled and said, "Better than 2 cups of coffee." What he didn't know, and what no one ever told him, is that this seemingly harmless habit was silently putting immense pressure on his heart and blood vessels. Energy drinks are a cocktail of high caffeine, artificial stimulants, sugar, and preservatives, and the senior body simply isn't designed to handle that combination, especially within minutes of waking. One morning, everything changed. Joseph had just finished brushing his teeth when he suddenly collapsed. No dizziness. No chest pain. Just a sudden loss of balance and speech. His wife found him on the bathroom floor, unable to move his right side, mouth drooping, confused. At the hospital, doctors diagnosed him with an ischemic stroke, caused by a blood clot blocking the flow of oxygen to his brain. The cause? No underlying chronic disease. No family history. But what shocked the doctors was his morning routine. His medical records showed a repeated pattern of early morning heart rhythm irregularities and significantly elevated blood pressure spikes within 30 to 45 minutes of waking. The doctors connected the dots: the combination of dehydration after sleep, plus the high caffeine and sugar drink, was enough to trigger a vascular emergency in a man who otherwise seemed perfectly healthy. Mr. Joseph was lucky. He received emergency care in time, and after months of rehab, he regained most of his mobility. But his story is a wake-up call, a reminder that not all danger announces itself with symptoms. Especially in the elderly, stroke doesn't always come with warning signs. Sometimes it comes as a quiet ambush set in motion by the smallest daily choices. That morning drink, the one meant to wake you up, may actually shock your nervous system, squeeze your blood vessels, and thicken your blood. Add that to an already low hydration level, and the odds for a clot go up dramatically. You see, energy drinks were never designed for people over 60. They were created for young athletes or late-night workers. But marketing has made them seem like a quick fix for everyone. That's how Mr. Joseph fell into the trap, and he's not alone. Data from the American Heart Association shows that up to 60% of strokes in seniors occur between 6 and 10 a.m., right around the time most people consume their first drink of the day. And according to a large-scale NIH-funded study, drinks high in sugar, caffeine, or stimulants consumed within the first 2 hours of waking can increase clotting risk by up to 300%. This means your beverage choice isn't just about taste or habit, it's about how your body handles it in a vulnerable window. Mr. Joseph's story also points to a second insight, one that many seniors ignore. He believed that because he felt fine, everything inside his body must also be fine. But the reality is, by the time symptoms appear, damage may already be underway. Early morning blood pressure spikes are often silent. Heart rhythm irregularities don't always feel like palpitations. And thickened blood doesn't come with a sensation. That's why it's critical to take proactive control of your morning, especially after 60. It starts with hydration, continues with avoiding extreme stimulants, and requires listening to the body's subtle signals, no matter how small. The good news is, Mr. Joseph's outcome could have been far worse. And many seniors who adjust their habits early can significantly lower their risk, not just of stroke, but also of vascular dementia, cognitive decline, and chronic fatigue linked to poor circulation. So take a moment to reflect. What's the first thing you drink in the morning? How long does it take you to have your first glass of water? Are you stimulating your body or supporting it? These are not casual questions. For someone over 60, they're decisions that impact how long and how well your brain functions. If Joseph had started his mornings with a glass of water, followed by a gentle drink like warm lemon water or herbal tea, his arteries wouldn't have been shocked, and his heart wouldn't have had to jumpstart under pressure. It's small steps that protect us. And when we reach a certain age, small steps become life-saving routines. Your morning drink can either be a silent trigger or a quiet defense. It's not too late to choose the second. For many people, especially those over 60, a sweet cup of coffee in the morning feels like a comforting tradition, almost like a reward for getting out of bed. But what if I told you that this warm and familiar ritual might be quietly damaging your heart, tightening your blood vessels, and increasing your risk of stroke all before breakfast is even served? It's not about demonizing coffee. In fact, when consumed correctly, coffee can offer some health benefits. The real danger lies in the sugar-loaded, flavored, store-bought versions that many older adults have come to rely on. These are the sweet iced coffees, vanilla lattes, or 3-in-1 instant mixes that seem harmless but are filled with refined sugar, synthetic syrups, powdered creamers, and often more caffeine than your heart actually needs. When you drink one of these sugary coffees first thing in the morning, especially on an empty stomach, several things happen inside your body, none of them good for aging blood vessels or the brain. First, the caffeine acts quickly, stimulating your nervous system, increasing heart rate, and causing blood vessels to constrict. This is already risky in the morning when your blood is slightly thicker due to overnight dehydration. Next, the sugar hits. Whether it comes from syrups, sweetened creamers, or the coffee base itself, this sugar rapidly raises your blood glucose level, causing your body to release insulin in a panic. This sudden blood sugar surge can lead to energy crashes, mood swings, and more importantly, a spike in blood pressure and systemic inflammation. This combination, tightened arteries and thickened blood, puts your heart under unnecessary strain. A clinical study published in the Hypertension Optimal Treatment Project followed over 3,000 seniors for 5 years. It found that daily consumption of sweetened coffee in the early morning increased the likelihood of dizziness, fainting, and unstable blood pressure by up to 2.8 times, especially in people over 65. But there's another layer of risk that's often overlooked: the hidden sodium. Many creamers, flavored powders, and toppings used in sweet coffee drinks contain sodium-based preservatives, which silently add to your daily salt intake. For people with high blood pressure, kidney issues, or heart failure, this added sodium can be dangerous even if it doesn't taste salty at all. Over time, regular consumption of these drinks contributes to fluid retention, arterial stiffness, and increased risk of stroke. If you've ever felt jittery, anxious, or unusually lightheaded after your morning coffee, it may not be the caffeine alone, it might be how your aging cardiovascular system is reacting to the full cocktail of stimulants, sugar, and additives. Let's also talk about your adrenal glands. These tiny organs are responsible for managing your body's stress response, including the release of adrenaline and cortisol. When you drink a sweetened, high-caffeine coffee first thing, your adrenals go into overdrive. This false stress signal can lead to rapid heartbeats, shallow breathing, and mental fog, none of which support healthy brain function or circulation. If you have a history of atrial fibrillation, arrhythmias, or are taking medications for blood pressure or diabetes, this kind of morning stimulation can interfere with how your body metabolizes those medications, sometimes making them less effective or more risky. I've worked with many patients who told me they just needed their morning mocha or caramel latte to get going. But after tracking their symptoms, fatigue, headaches, blood pressure swings, we found that cutting or modifying their morning drink brought noticeable relief within a few days. The lesson here is not to scare you away from coffee altogether. Instead, I encourage you to look at what's in your coffee, how it's made, and when you're drinking it. If your coffee contains 2 or more of the following: flavored syrup, whipped cream, sweetened condensed milk, or powder creamer, it's time for a gentle change. A healthier way to enjoy coffee in your golden years is to prepare it at home, where you control the ingredients. Try unsweetened cold brew or filtered coffee, and add a splash of unsweetened almond milk or oat milk. If you need a little sweetness, consider a small amount of cinnamon or vanilla extract rather than sugar or artificial creamers. Even better, delay your coffee until at least 30 minutes after you've had a glass of water. This gives your cardiovascular system a chance to stabilize and your hydration levels to rise before introducing caffeine. For those with extra sensitivity to caffeine, decaffeinated options or mushroom-based coffee substitutes can offer mental clarity without the vascular stress. Coffee isn't the enemy. But in the morning, after 60, your body needs calm, not chaos. Your heart needs support, not stimulation. And your brain needs oxygen, not blood vessel constriction. Every choice you make in those first waking moments either protects or pressures your internal systems. So let's start seeing your morning cup not just as a habit but as a decision with consequences. And if you're going to continue drinking coffee, let it be a version that serves your health, not one that silently works against it. One of the most overlooked dangers hiding in your morning cup isn't just the caffeine or sugar, it's what gets mixed into your coffee without much thought. Flavored syrups, powdered creamers, condensed milk, and even whipped toppings may seem like small additions, but they're often packed with hidden sodium, artificial fats, preservatives, and chemical additives that can quietly raise your blood pressure and strain your cardiovascular system, especially if you're over 60. You might not notice it right away. That's the tricky part. These ingredients don't cause an immediate headache or a racing heart. But used daily, they gradually chip away at your body's natural balance. Over time, they make your blood vessels stiffer, your kidneys work harder, and your heart beat under greater pressure even if you're not adding table salt anywhere else in your diet. Let's take flavored syrups as an example. Just 1 tablespoon of caramel or vanilla syrup can contain 5 to 7 grams of sugar, artificial flavorings, and preservatives like sodium benzoate or potassium sorbate. These substances not only spike your blood sugar, but also trigger low-grade inflammation throughout your circulatory system. That inflammation doesn't come with pain, but it increases your risk of arterial plaque, narrowed vessels, and unstable blood pressure. Now add in a spoonful of powdered creamer. Many of these products contain hydrogenated oils, which are a form of trans fat even if the label says 0G trans fat. In the US, food companies are allowed to label an item as 0G trans fat if it contains less than 0.5 grams per serving. But who uses just 1 teaspoon? Most people use 2 or 3, and they do it every single morning. Over time, those tiny amounts add up, and trans fats are well documented to increase LDL cholesterol, the bad kind, decrease HDL, the good kind, and raise your risk of stroke. The real concern, especially for older adults, is that these ingredients combine to create a cumulative load on the body. Every morning, a little more sugar, a little more sodium, a little more synthetic fat, none of which your body is eager to process at your age. After 60, the body's detoxification pathways slow down. Your liver doesn't filter as fast. Your kidneys retain more sodium. Your blood vessels become more reactive to pressure. So what seemed harmless in your 40s can become hazardous in your 60s. There's also the issue of blood pressure masking. If you take your readings in the evening, you might miss the damage caused by your morning drinks. Morning spikes in systolic blood pressure can go unnoticed, especially if you don't feel symptoms. But these silent surges are the exact moments when stroke risk is highest. A study from the Journal of Clinical Hypertension revealed that adults over 60 who consumed flavored coffee beverages with added syrups and creamers showed up to 15% higher morning blood pressure readings, even if their overall daily average was normal. The body remembers those early day shocks even if you don't. In real-life clinic conversations, I've met patients who say things like, "But I only use a little creamer," or "It's just a bit of syrup, doc." And I always say the same thing, it's not about the amount, it's about the habit. Because when something small is done every day, it no longer stays small. That's especially true for seniors with a history of hypertension, chronic kidney disease, or those taking diuretics. These individuals are already at a higher risk of fluid imbalance and electrolyte strain, and adding hidden sodium and processed additives each morning is like tossing pebbles into a fragile engine. Eventually, it clogs. What's the alternative? It's simpler than you think. Instead of syrup, use a small amount of pure cinnamon powder, which can stabilize blood sugar and add warmth without sugar or salt. Instead of powdered creamer, try unsweetened plant-based milks like almond, oat, or coconut milk. These not only taste good but also contain healthy fats and no hydrogenated oils. And if you really want to enhance flavor, try a drop of real vanilla extract or a slice of fresh ginger for a natural kick without the vascular toll. Even better, start your day with a full glass of water first, wait 15 to 30 minutes, and then enjoy your coffee. This gives your blood vessels a chance to expand, your kidneys time to wake up, and your body the hydration it's craving. This sequence lowers your chances of a morning blood pressure surge, even if you still have a small splash of creamer in your coffee. The point is not to strip away all flavor or pleasure. It's to reclaim control of what you're putting in your body and to stop letting old habits quietly rob you of your health. Morning drinks can still be enjoyable. But they should also be safe, steady, and supportive of your circulation, not secretly harmful. So tomorrow morning, before you pour that syrup or reach for that powdered creamer, pause and ask yourself, is this helping my heart or slowly making it work harder? Because once you know the truth, you have the power to choose better. If you're someone who cherishes your morning coffee, and let's be honest, many of us do, you don't have to give it up entirely. The goal isn't to remove joy from your routine. The goal is to make your routine smarter, especially after age 60 when your heart, brain, and blood vessels demand a gentler start to the day. A smarter coffee routine is one that respects your body's natural rhythm in the morning. Your blood is still slightly thick, your pressure is adjusting from sleep, and your kidneys are waking up to manage fluid balance. So before we even talk about what to drink, let's talk timing. The best thing you can do for your heart every morning, before anything else, is drink a full glass of room temperature water. Not cold. Not lemon flavored. Just plain, gentle water. It rehydrates your blood, helps flush out waste your kidneys filtered overnight, and gives your brain a fresh supply of oxygen. Many seniors notice a subtle improvement in focus, energy, and even mood just from this one habit. Once you've had water and waited at least 15 to 20 minutes, then your body is better prepared for coffee. But how can we upgrade the coffee itself to make it heart-smart and brain-friendly? Let's start with the basics. 1. Brew it clean. Skip the instant 3-in-1 packets or flavored coffee shop drinks. Instead, brew your coffee using a French press, pour-over, or drip machine with clean filtered water. Go for organic or low-acid coffee beans if possible, as they're gentler on the stomach and contain fewer residues. 2. Go easy on caffeine. After 60, your liver processes caffeine more slowly. This means caffeine stays in your system longer and may cause racing heartbeats, sleep disturbances, or increased blood pressure even hours later. Try switching to light or medium roast, which can be lower in caffeine than dark roast. Or consider half-CAF blends, a mix of regular and decaf, especially if you're sensitive to stimulants or taking heart medication. 3. Sweeten naturally. Skip the flavored syrups or refined sugar. Instead, add a pinch of cinnamon, which helps balance blood sugar and brings warmth to your cup. Or, if you really need a touch of sweetness, use a small amount of raw honey or stevia, but only after your coffee cools slightly, as high heat can degrade the nutrients and change the flavor. 4. Cream it wisely. Ditch the powdered creamers and condensed milk. These are often packed with trans fats, sodium, and preservatives. Use a splash of unsweetened almond, oat, or coconut milk instead. These alternatives are free from cholesterol, low in saturated fat, and much easier on aging kidneys and arteries. Some even contain added calcium and vitamin D, which are helpful for seniors managing bone density. 5. Add function, not just flavor. For those open to experimenting, you can make your coffee even more supportive by adding small amounts of functional ingredients. For example, a pinch of turmeric can reduce inflammation, mushroom extracts like lion's mane can support brain health, and collagen powder can help maintain joint flexibility. These should be added sparingly and with your doctor's approval if you're taking any medications. One of my older patients, Mrs. Lon, 72, used to feel anxious and jittery after her sweet iced coffee. Once she switched to a homemade blend of cold brew with oat milk and cinnamon, her blood pressure leveled out, and she even noticed she didn't need her late morning nap anymore. Sometimes, the difference isn't in the amount we drink, but in the ingredients and timing. And when it comes to seniors, less caffeine with better support is often the key. Another often overlooked factor is posture. Many people over 60 wake up and sit up too quickly. Combine that with a dehydrated body and a strong coffee, and you have a perfect storm for dizziness, lightheadedness, or even fainting. That's why I always recommend starting the day slowly, sipping water first, and waiting a few minutes before even heading to the kitchen. For those who truly want to break free from coffee but still enjoy the warm morning ritual, there are some excellent substitutes. Roasted chicory root has a bold, coffee-like flavor without caffeine and supports liver health. Barley tea, Mujica, is another gentle, nutty option rich in antioxidants and hydration. Even dandelion root tea has a slightly bitter note that coffee lovers might enjoy. Remember, your morning drink should serve your circulation, not shock it. It should prepare your mind for clarity, not flood your body with stress hormones. And it should enhance your energy in a gentle, lasting way, not give you a rush followed by a crash. So if you're ready to make a smarter switch, you don't have to abandon coffee, you just have to rethink how you use it. Let it be something that supports your heart and brain, not something that adds pressure to them. In the next parts, we'll look at other common morning beverages like fruit juices and diet sodas and uncover the surprising truth about how they affect your aging body. But for now, just remember, a smarter coffee is still a delicious coffee. And with a few mindful adjustments, it can become your ally for longevity, not your hidden risk. It's easy to understand why so many older adults believe a glass of fruit juice in the morning is a healthy choice. The bright color, the sweet taste, the label that says 100% juice, it all seems to suggest nature's goodness in a bottle. But when you take a closer look, especially after the age of 60, that innocent-looking glass of juice may actually be a blood sugar bomb that causes more harm than good. The truth is, most packaged fruit juices, even the ones that say no added sugar, are stripped of fiber and concentrated in natural sugars. That means they deliver a rapid spike in blood glucose, which triggers a sharp insulin response. For a young body, this may not be a big deal. But for an older body, with slower metabolism, thinner blood vessels, and possibly pre-existing conditions like prediabetes, insulin resistance, or high blood pressure, that morning sugar surge is like pouring gasoline on a fire. What many people don't realize is that juice behaves very differently in the body than whole fruit. When you eat a whole apple, for example, your body has to chew the skin, break down the pulp, and absorb the sugars slowly, thanks to the fiber. That fiber slows the absorption of glucose, reducing the stress on your pancreas and blood vessels. But when you drink apple juice, even 100% natural, you're consuming the sugar of multiple apples in just a few gulps, without any of the fiber to slow it down. One Harvard study found that the glycemic index of apple juice is nearly double that of a whole apple, meaning it raises blood sugar twice as fast. This matters because sudden blood sugar spikes in the morning can cause fluctuations in blood pressure, strain your arteries, and increase inflammatory markers, all of which raise your risk of stroke and vascular damage. Even worse, these sugar spikes are usually followed by crashes. That's when seniors begin to feel tired, mentally foggy, or irritable before lunch, not realizing it was caused by the very juice they thought was healthy. I once had a patient, Mr. N, 65, who drank orange juice every morning for vitamin C. He wasn't diabetic, but often felt lightheaded mid-morning. When we reviewed his blood sugar, we saw clear spikes and crashes between 8 and 10 a.m. exactly after his juice habit. When he switched to eating a whole orange with breakfast instead, his energy became stable, his blood pressure stopped fluctuating, and his doctor reduced his hypertension meds after 3 months. Juice is also dangerous because of how easily it disguises quantity. You wouldn't eat 4 apples in one sitting. But drinking the juice from 4 apples takes less than a minute. And juices often come in large bottles or cartons, making it easy to pour more than the recommended amount. Even juices labeled no sugar added can still contain 20 to 30 grams of natural sugar per glass, equal to about 6 to 7 teaspoons of sugar. That's nearly the same as a can of soda, especially dangerous for seniors managing weight, blood pressure, or cholesterol. Another hidden issue with packaged juices is their acidity. Citrus juices like orange, grapefruit, and pineapple can erode tooth enamel over time, especially in older adults with sensitive gums or dry mouth. They also interact with certain medications. For example, grapefruit juice can interfere with blood pressure medications, statins, and even antiarrhythmic drugs. That's why it's crucial to read labels carefully and talk to your doctor before making fruit juice a daily habit. So what's the smarter option? First, if you enjoy the taste of juice, try switching to whole fruits. You get the same vitamins and minerals, plus the fiber and slower sugar absorption that your body needs. Eating an orange is always better than drinking orange juice. If chewing is difficult, try blending the whole fruit with skin, seeds, and pulp into a smoothie. This keeps the fiber intact and gives you more stable energy. Want something drinkable? Try infused water with slices of fruit like lemon, apple, or cucumber. Or brew herbal teas with natural citrus or berry flavors. These give you flavor without the sugar spike, and they hydrate you properly. If you absolutely love juice, limit it to no more than 100 milliliters per day, and always pair it with a meal that includes protein or healthy fat to slow down sugar absorption. For example, having a few sips of diluted juice with oatmeal and nuts is far better than drinking it alone on an empty stomach. Seniors should also consider tracking their morning blood pressure and glucose levels if they regularly consume juice. This helps identify patterns and catch early signs of sugar-induced instability. Keep in mind, one of the most common silent stroke triggers is the combination of high blood sugar, stiff arteries, and low hydration in the early hours of the day. And juice can quietly create all three without warning. Your morning beverage should energize you, not destabilize your system. It should support your heart and brain, not overload them. So before you reach for that carton tomorrow morning, take a moment to ask, do I want sweet flavor for 30 seconds, or steady circulation for the rest of the day? Aging doesn't mean restriction, it means smarter decisions. And this is one of the simplest you can make. It might sound dramatic, but what you drink in the morning, particularly how much sugar it contains and how little fiber it offers, can determine the health of your blood vessels. And for people over 60, this impact is far more critical than most realize. As we age, our endothelial lining, which is the thin layer of cells that protects the inner walls of our arteries, becomes more fragile. This lining plays a vital role in maintaining blood flow, preventing clots, and keeping blood pressure stable. But it's highly sensitive to glucose spikes and insulin surges, which are exactly what you get when you consume sugary drinks without any fiber to slow absorption. Imagine this: every time you drink a glass of juice, soda, or sweetened coffee on an empty stomach, it's like sending a sugar wave through narrow pipes. The sudden rise in blood sugar causes the pancreas to release insulin, but the rapid shift in glucose levels also creates tiny microinflammations inside your vessels. These aren't wounds you can see or feel, but over time, they weaken the arterial walls, making them more prone to rupture, stiffness, or clot formation. A 2019 study in the Journal of Vascular Health found that older adults who consumed high-sugar beverages daily had significantly more markers of endothelial damage, even when their overall calorie intake was controlled. The issue isn't just sugar, it's sugar without fiber. Fiber acts like a traffic controller in your digestion. It slows down how quickly sugar enters the bloodstream, giving your body time to process it without shocking your system. That's why whole fruits are safe, even sweet ones, because their natural fiber buffers the impact. But juice, soda, and sweetened lattes? Those hit hard and fast. For older adults, this leads to blood sugar volatility, followed by energy crashes, and worse, silent damage to the blood vessels supplying the brain and heart. And remember, the brain consumes about 20% of the body's oxygen and nutrients, delivered entirely through those vessels. When they're under constant pressure from sugar and inflammation, the brain begins to suffer even if memory loss or confusion doesn't show up right away. You might feel more tired in the late morning, struggle with word recall, or feel foggy for no clear reason. It could be the result of years of microvascular damage caused by breakfast habits that lacked balance. I once counseled a couple in their early 70s, Mr. and Mrs. Vin, who drank mixed fruit juice with their breakfast every morning. They were both active, not diabetic, and felt healthy. But Mr. Vin started noticing frequent afternoon headaches, and his wife felt unusually tired mid-morning. Their blood tests showed elevated fasting glucose and slightly elevated homocysteine levels, an early marker of vascular inflammation. When we removed juice and added whole fruit and oatmeal with chia seeds to their breakfast, their symptoms eased within weeks. What's happening here isn't unique, it's common. And unfortunately, most people don't see the danger until something serious occurs, like a minor stroke or cardiovascular scare. Even without those outcomes, seniors may notice slower wound healing, cold hands and feet, fluctuating blood pressure, or blurred vision, all signs that the microcirculation is struggling. Let's not forget the long-term connection between sugar and dementia. The brain's blood vessels are just as sensitive as those in the heart. Excess sugar without fiber has been linked to increased amyloid plaque accumulation, a hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. While juice companies promote their products as pure or natural, they rarely tell you that their process strips out nearly all the beneficial fiber. The same goes for flavored yogurts, sweet smoothies bought from cafes, or bottled health drinks that boast fruit but deliver sugar. So, what can you do? Reintroduce fiber to your breakfast in ways that feel satisfying. Eat a whole apple instead of apple juice. Blend a smoothie using the entire fruit, skin, pulp, and seeds where appropriate. Add a tablespoon of chia or flaxseed to your drink, which not only boosts fiber but also supports heart health. If you enjoy warm drinks, try unsweetened barley tea or herbal teas with dried fruit for flavor without the sugar load. Make it a rule that any sweet drink in your morning routine must be paired with fiber, fat, or protein. These three elements help stabilize blood sugar and protect your arteries. For example, if you want juice, drink just a small amount, about 50 milliliters, and pair it with hard-boiled eggs, a handful of walnuts, or plain Greek yogurt. This simple pairing can reduce the insulin spike dramatically. Also, start building awareness by reading labels. If the sugar content of your morning drink exceeds 10 grams per serving, and there's no fiber, treat it as a once-in-a-while indulgence, not a daily habit. Finally, give your arteries the first thing they really want in the morning: water. Not juice, not milk, not coffee. Just water. It flushes toxins, thins the blood naturally, and allows your system to absorb nutrients better when food does arrive. Many seniors overlook this step, but it's the foundation of stable circulation and healthy aging. Your blood vessels are silent workers. They don't complain, they don't yell, but they respond to what you give them. Sugar without fiber is their greatest enemy. Fiber is their shield. And your morning is the most important time to offer them that protection. If you're looking for a way to nourish your heart, protect your blood vessels, and support your brain all before breakfast, then look no further than the humble whole fruit smoothie. Unlike fruit juice, which strips away fiber and delivers a sugar surge, a well-made smoothie made from whole fruits, seeds, and skins is one of the most powerful tools an older adult can add to their morning routine. Why? Because the key to long-term health after 60 lies not just in what you avoid, but in what you actively include. A whole fruit smoothie provides the fiber, antioxidants, natural hydration, and steady glucose release that your body craves after hours of fasting. It's not just a drink, it's a gentle infusion of nutrients that support blood circulation, brain function, and energy without the crash. When blended properly, smoothies allow you to keep all the parts of the fruit that matter most, like the peel, which contains flavonoids that reduce inflammation in your arteries, or the seeds, which offer healthy fats and antioxidants. These components work together to protect the endothelial lining of your blood vessels, support oxygen delivery to the brain, and help regulate blood sugar naturally. Let's compare. One glass of orange juice can have over 20 grams of sugar and no fiber. But a smoothie made with one peeled orange, half a banana, a small piece of avocado, and a spoonful of chia seeds has only moderate sugar and comes with fiber, healthy fats, and hydration. The glycemic load is lower, which means your pancreas doesn't panic. Your insulin response is steadier. Your blood vessels remain calm. And your energy lasts longer. Seniors who regularly consume blended whole fruits have been shown to have better cholesterol profiles, lower blood pressure variability, and fewer mid-morning crashes. A study published in the British Journal of Nutrition found that older adults who consumed fruit-based smoothies with seeds and leafy greens had improved endothelial function and reduced arterial stiffness after just 12 weeks. I often recommend a simple formula to patients over 60 who are looking to switch away from sweetened drinks. 1 fiber-rich fruit, like apple or pear. 1 creamy base, like avocado or banana. 1 healthy fat, chia seeds, flax seeds, or walnuts. 1 green, like spinach or kale. 1 liquid, water, almond milk, or coconut water, not juice. This blend not only tastes good, but it supports your metabolism, reduces inflammation, and feeds your gut microbiome, all essential for aging well. Take Mr. Dung, age 68, for example. He had been struggling with high cholesterol and mild brain fog in the mornings. He used to drink bottled guava juice every day, thinking it was good for his heart. After switching to a homemade smoothie with guava chunks, spinach, flax seeds, and unsweetened coconut milk, he reported better digestion, improved focus, and his cholesterol dropped by 18 points after 2 months. His doctor was impressed, but even more so, Mr. Dung said he felt more balanced throughout the day. Another overlooked benefit of smoothies is hydration. Many older adults are mildly dehydrated in the morning without realizing it. A smoothie made with water-rich fruits like watermelon, berries, or cucumber can rehydrate you naturally, without the need for caffeine or packaged beverages. This helps improve blood viscosity, reduces strain on the heart, and helps prevent morning dizziness, which is a common complaint in seniors with unstable blood pressure. But like anything, balance is key. A smoothie should be nourishing, not sugary. Avoid adding honey, flavored yogurt, or fruit concentrates. These sneak in sugar and defeat the purpose. Instead, focus on whole ingredients and let the natural sweetness of fruits do the work. If you want extra protein, add a spoonful of plain Greek yogurt or a small scoop of plant-based protein powder, especially helpful if you have muscle loss or are in recovery after illness. Also, consider texture and temperature. A smoothie that's too cold, especially with ice, may shock the digestive system of older adults. Use room temperature ingredients or let refrigerated items sit out for 10 to 15 minutes before blending. This small adjustment makes digestion smoother and prevents discomfort. One of my patients, Mrs. Tao, 70 years old, used to have cold fruit smoothies with ice. She would get bloated or feel cold after drinking. After warming the ingredients slightly and removing ice, her digestion improved, and she no longer felt discomfort. There's also an emotional benefit to smoothies. Many seniors feel overwhelmed by the idea of cooking breakfast every day. A smoothie offers convenience, variety, and nutrition all in one glass. You can prepare the ingredients the night before, store them in the fridge, and blend in under 2 minutes the next morning. No pressure, no frying pans, just health, simplicity, and comfort. For those on medications, smoothies are also a great way to space your intake properly. For instance, you can drink a smoothie 30 minutes after water and medication, giving your body time to absorb your pills, then offering it nutrients to support the healing process. And because smoothies are gentle, they rarely interfere with digestion or medication efficacy. That said, always check with your doctor if you're using blood thinners or have dietary restrictions. Let's not underestimate the power of routine. If your first drink of the day is a sugary juice, your body starts in chaos. But if your first real nourishment comes in the form of a whole food smoothie, your body starts in balance. And for older adults, balance is everything: in circulation, in blood sugar, in mood, in energy. Your smoothie doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be whole. No shortcuts, no processed sugar, no flashy packaging. Just nature's ingredients, thoughtfully combined. Think of it as a gift to your brain, a tool for your heart, and a daily promise to your future self. Because healing, at this age, doesn't come from big changes, it comes from quiet, consistent care. For many people over 60 who are trying to make healthier choices, switching from sugary drinks to diet sodas might seem like a smart move. After all, there's no sugar, no calories, and it tastes almost the same, so what could be the harm? Unfortunately, quite a lot. Despite being marketed as healthier alternatives, diet sodas and zero-calorie soft drinks have been linked to a range of health issues in older adults, especially concerning stroke risk, vascular damage, and brain health. And the scary part is, most of the harm happens quietly, with no warning signs. Let's break it down. The main problem with diet sodas lies in their artificial sweeteners, compounds like aspartame, sucralose, and acesulfame potassium. These are chemical substitutes for sugar, and while they don't raise blood glucose directly, studies have shown that they can disrupt the gut microbiome, alter insulin sensitivity, and contribute to systemic inflammation, all of which raise the risk of stroke, especially in people over 60. A 2017 study published by the American Heart Association's journal Stroke found that older adults who consumed at least one diet soda per day were nearly twice as likely to suffer a stroke compared to those who drank none. Even more concerning, the study found that diet soda was also linked to a higher risk of dementia, pointing to the potential long-term damage these drinks may have on blood flow to the brain. Another issue is thirst perception. Diet sodas often have a sweet, satisfying flavor, which tricks the brain into thinking it's hydrated, when in fact, they do not hydrate the body at all. The caffeine and sodium content in many of these beverages actually increase fluid loss, leading to mild dehydration, especially dangerous when consumed first thing in the morning. And as we've already discussed, dehydration after sleep thickens your blood, raises your heart's workload, and makes it easier for a clot to form. For older adults, this is a hidden danger because the first drink of the day should be one that supports circulation, not compromises it. Some people think, if it doesn't contain sugar, then it must be safe. But what they don't realize is that sweetness itself, whether from sugar or chemicals, can still trigger an insulin response, confusing the body and contributing to blood sugar instability. Over time, this metabolic confusion can raise the risk of developing insulin resistance, belly fat, and chronic inflammation, all of which are risk factors for cardiovascular disease. I've worked with patients who had normal blood sugar levels but still experienced pre-diabetic symptoms. When we looked closer, the common thread was their regular intake of diet sodas. Once they removed those drinks, their cravings reduced, their energy stabilized, and some even reported fewer headaches and improved sleep. It's also important to know that many diet sodas contain preservatives and chemical additives like phosphoric acid, which can affect bone density, kidney health, and even oral health. In older adults, especially women at risk of osteoporosis or those with chronic kidney disease, these seemingly harmless drinks may actually accelerate underlying conditions. For example, phosphoric acid binds to calcium, which may contribute to bone thinning, while added sodium and caffeine can increase urinary calcium loss. And what about the brain? Studies using MRI scans have shown that regular consumers of artificially sweetened beverages had more shrinkage in certain brain regions associated with memory and cognition. While this doesn't prove causation, the correlation is strong enough to raise concern, especially for seniors trying to stay mentally sharp. The impact of poor hydration, artificial chemicals, and disturbed glucose-insulin dynamics on the brain is often underestimated. But over time, these factors can chip away at both vascular health and neurological resilience. Let me tell you about Mr. Bao, 64 years old. He switched from soda to Diet Cola after his doctor warned him about diabetes. Every day after breakfast, he drank a can of zero-sugar soda with ice, thinking he was making a smart swap. Over time, he noticed he was more tired, developed drier skin, and had frequent muscle cramps in the morning. Blood tests revealed that his electrolytes were off, and he was mildly dehydrated despite drinking what he thought was a hydrating beverage. When we replaced the diet soda with water infused with lemon and cucumber, and a bit of coconut water for electrolytes, his symptoms disappeared. Within 3 weeks, his sleep improved, and the muscle cramps stopped completely. So, what's a better option for those who crave something bubbly? Consider naturally sparkling water with no additives, no sweeteners, and a squeeze of real lemon or a few slices of fresh fruit. The fizz gives you that satisfying feeling without harming your system. You can also try kombucha made with low sugar, which supports gut health while offering a light tangy taste. Or make a homemade fruit vinegar tonic with diluted apple cider vinegar, ginger, and a touch of honey. These options not only hydrate but also help stimulate digestion, balance blood sugar, and support the microbiome, a win-win for seniors. The takeaway here is clear: just because a drink is zero sugar or low calorie doesn't mean it's safe for older adults. Artificial sweeteners may keep the scale down, but they can disrupt internal balance and raise the risk of serious vascular events like stroke. Your body after 60 needs less confusion and more clarity, starting with what you put in it each morning. So tomorrow, before you pop open that can of diet soda, ask yourself, am I nourishing my system or tricking it? Because your heart, your brain, and your arteries deserve better than chemicals masked as a healthy choice. One of the most overlooked effects of modern diet drinks and sugar-free products is their silent impact on something deeply tied to your overall health, your gut microbiome. You've probably heard the term before, referring to the trillions of bacteria living in your intestines, but what most people over 60 don't realize is just how much this delicate community of microbes controls your immune system, your brain function, your inflammation levels, and even your stroke risk. And one of the biggest disruptors of this balance? Artificial sweeteners. Common sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, and acesulfame potassium may give you a sweet taste without the calories, but inside your body, they're far from harmless. Numerous studies over the past decade have shown that these chemicals alter the composition of your gut bacteria, reducing the diversity of beneficial microbes and allowing harmful strains to grow. When this balance is disturbed, something known as dysbiosis, it triggers a cascade of problems. For older adults, the consequences can be especially serious. Gut imbalance increases systemic inflammation, weakens the intestinal lining, and allows toxic molecules to enter your bloodstream, a phenomenon known as leaky gut syndrome. This contributes to higher blood pressure, unstable blood sugar, joint pain, and even cognitive decline. In a 2018 study from the Journal of Gerontology, researchers found that older adults who consumed artificial sweeteners regularly had lower populations of beneficial bacteria like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium, and significantly higher levels of inflammatory markers in the blood. Even though these individuals were not diabetic, their insulin resistance increased, and their blood pressure readings became more erratic over time. Why? Because the gut doesn't just digest food, it communicates with your brain, your immune system, and your blood vessels. It helps regulate serotonin, your mood chemical, cortisol, your stress hormone, and even nitric oxide, which controls blood vessel dilation. When artificial sweeteners throw that system out of sync, the consequences show up far beyond your stomach. One of my patients, Mrs. Mai, 69, was trying to control her weight by replacing sugar with sweeteners in her tea and using sugar-free yogurt and low-calorie snacks. After a few months, she noticed that her stomach felt bloated often, she had more frequent joint aches, and her blood pressure, previously stable, began fluctuating more than usual. She also had trouble sleeping and described feeling off without knowing why. When we reviewed her food journal, artificial sweeteners came up several times a day. We removed them completely and reintroduced natural sweeteners in tiny amounts like stevia leaf, the real plant, not the white powder, and small doses of raw honey. She also started taking a daily probiotic, ate more fermented foods like yogurt and kimchi, and within 6 weeks, her digestion, mood, and blood pressure all improved. It's not just what sweeteners do to bacteria. They also confuse your metabolic signals. Your tongue tastes sweet, which tells your brain that sugar is coming, but your blood never gets it. This mismatch can lead to increased hunger, stronger sugar cravings, and delayed insulin release, which causes a roller coaster of blood sugar patterns. For seniors trying to control prediabetes, weight, or energy levels, this is a dangerous cycle. Instead of calming the body, these sweeteners may keep it in a constant state of stress and confusion. Even worse, artificial sweeteners may disrupt renal function over time. The kidneys, which already become more sensitive after 60, must work harder to excrete chemical residues. Combined with blood pressure medication or diuretics, this can lead to subtle electrolyte imbalances, which manifest as fatigue, leg cramps, or mental fog. A study in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that individuals who consumed sucralose daily showed signs of reduced kidney filtration rate, especially those over 65 with a prior history of hypertension or mild kidney disease. So, what can you do instead if you still crave that little bit of sweetness in your tea, smoothie, or snack? First, shift your mindset. After age 60, the goal is not to eliminate sweetness completely, but to choose natural, slower digesting alternatives that respect your gut and metabolism. Try fresh fruit pieces, such as mashed banana or grated apple, to sweeten oatmeal or yogurt. Use cinnamon, vanilla extract, or nutmeg to add flavor depth without sugar. If you need a bit more, try a small amount of real stevia leaf, monk fruit, or raw honey, but always in moderation. Also, give your palate time to adjust. After years of drinking highly sweetened beverages, your taste buds may be desensitized. But within 2 to 3 weeks of reducing artificial sweeteners, you'll notice your natural sense of taste returning. Suddenly, even a strawberry or a baked apple will feel satisfyingly sweet. That's your body rebalancing. And don't forget your gut. Start each morning with a habit that nourishes your microbiome. That could be a fiber-rich smoothie, a bowl of steel-cut oats, or a glass of warm water with lemon. These support digestion, calm inflammation, and protect the tight junctions of your intestinal wall. Fermented foods like unsweetened yogurt, sauerkraut, or miso soup can also help restore microbial balance. For many older adults, this small shift in the first hour of the day has a profound effect on energy, digestion, and mental clarity. So if you're reaching for something sugar-free in the morning, take a moment to look at what's really in it. Does it support your gut bacteria or stress them? Does it bring balance or just flavor? Because after 60, your gut isn't just your digestion, it's your foundation. And if you treat it well, it will return the favor with better mood, better circulation, and fewer surprises down the line. After hearing so much about what drinks to avoid in the morning, like sweetened coffee, juice, or diet soda, you might be wondering, is there anything refreshing, satisfying, and bubbly that's actually safe, or even beneficial, for people over 60? The answer is yes, but only if you choose the right kind of fizz. Unlike commercial sodas that are filled with chemicals and sweeteners, naturally sparkling water, also known as carbonated mineral water, can be a surprisingly supportive choice for older adults, when consumed correctly and in moderation. Natural sparkling water contains no sugar, no artificial additives, and no calories. Its gentle carbonation provides that familiar bubbly sensation many people crave, especially those who used to drink soda. But here's the real benefit: high-quality mineral water often includes trace amounts of magnesium, calcium, and bicarbonate, which help support vascular flexibility, electrolyte balance, and overall hydration. These minerals can be particularly helpful for older adults whose bodies may no longer absorb nutrients as efficiently or who are taking medications that deplete electrolytes, like diuretics or blood pressure pills. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Nutrition, Health and Aging found that seniors who consumed magnesium-rich mineral water daily for 4 weeks showed improvements in endothelial function, meaning their arteries became more responsive and better at regulating blood flow. This directly impacts stroke prevention and cognitive health. When your blood vessels are flexible and well hydrated, it's easier for oxygen and nutrients to reach the brain, helping to maintain memory, mood, and energy levels. Let's also address a common misconception. Many seniors think carbonation causes bone loss or weakens the kidneys. This idea mostly comes from concerns about phosphoric acid, a chemical found in colas and soft drinks, not in natural sparkling water. The carbonation in mineral water is typically derived from natural CO2, and without sweeteners or acidic additives, it does not erode bones or damage kidneys. In fact, some carbonated waters may help improve digestion by stimulating stomach acid, which becomes weaker as we age. This can help with mild indigestion, bloating, or that heavy stomach feeling many seniors experience after meals. That said, there are still a few guidelines to keep in mind if you want to incorporate naturally sparkling water into your morning. First, avoid flavored or sweetened versions, especially those labeled natural flavor without full transparency. Even if they're sugar-free, they often contain hidden chemicals, acidity regulators, or preservatives that can stress your system. Choose only plain, unsweetened, unflavored mineral water from reputable brands. Second, always pair it with hydration from still water. Sparkling water, while refreshing, should not replace your first glass of plain water in the morning. After 7 to 8 hours of sleep, your body craves gentle rehydration, not bubbles. So drink a full glass of room temperature plain water first, then enjoy your sparkling water as a second beverage, ideally with breakfast. This approach ensures proper hydration and avoids putting unnecessary pressure on your stomach or kidneys first thing in the day. For extra benefit and flavor, consider adding a slice of lemon, cucumber, or a few drops of real fruit juice, not from concentrate. These natural additions can provide antioxidants, support digestion, and make your drink feel special without adding sugar. One of my patients, Mr. Sun, 72, used to drink diet soda with breakfast because he liked the fizz. We swapped it for chilled sparkling mineral water with 2 slices of lemon and 3 basil leaves. Not only did his bloating disappear within 2 weeks, but he also reported less fatigue and better blood pressure stability throughout the morning. Another overlooked benefit? Mental clarity. When your body is properly hydrated and supported with minerals, your brain functions more efficiently. Seniors who struggle with morning confusion, lightheadedness, or mental fog often find relief just by improving hydration and reducing chemical intake. Naturally carbonated water, especially when paired with a nutritious breakfast, supports oxygen delivery, balances acid-alkaline levels, and encourages healthy nerve function, all essential for staying sharp as you age. But be mindful, some people with irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, or severe acid reflux may find that carbonated drinks, even natural ones, can cause discomfort. If you experience symptoms like burping, stomach pressure, or reflux, it may be best to limit carbonation and focus more on warm herbal teas or infused still water. Always listen to your body, and don't assume that what works for one person will work for everyone. Here's a simple morning drink idea that many seniors enjoy and find gentle yet effective. Step 1. Start with a full glass of room temperature water, about 250 milliliters, right after waking. Step 2. After 15 to 30 minutes, prepare a glass of sparkling mineral water with 2 slices of fresh cucumber and a squeeze of lime. Step 3. Enjoy it with your breakfast, ideally something rich in fiber and healthy fats like oats with chia seeds or scrambled eggs with avocado. This simple combination gives your brain hydration, your blood vessels support, and your digestion a boost, all without any artificial chemicals or sugars. It's refreshing, light, and totally senior-friendly. In summary, naturally sparkling water is one of the few bubbly beverages that can actually serve your health after 60 if chosen and used wisely. It respects your vascular system, hydrates you without sugar, and adds variety to your routine without compromising your safety. It's proof that not all fun drinks are bad, and that with the right knowledge, you can enjoy your mornings without worry. The goal isn't to drink like you did at 30, it's to drink smart at 70. Among all the drinks we've discussed, perhaps the most dangerous one for people over 60 is the energy drink. They come in bright cans, often with words like boost, alert, or performance, promising quick energy, focus, or stamina. But hidden beneath the flashy marketing is a powerful mix of caffeine, sugar, and stimulants that can silently harm your heart, especially in the early hours of the day when your body is most vulnerable. If you're over 60 and still drinking energy drinks in the morning or worse, on an empty stomach, this part is your wake-up call. Let's begin with the basics. Energy drinks are not designed for older adults. They were originally created for young athletes, college students, and night shift workers who needed fast stimulation. But for a senior body, especially one that may be managing blood pressure, cholesterol, or heart medication, the ingredients inside an energy drink are like pouring lighter fluid on a slow-burning fire. Most energy drinks contain very high doses of caffeine, often 80 to 200 milligrams per can, which is the equivalent of 2 to 3 cups of strong coffee. That much caffeine alone can cause your heart to beat faster, make blood vessels tighten, and spike your blood pressure in a matter of minutes. But that's not the worst part. These drinks also contain other stimulants like taurine, guarana, and ginseng, which amplify the effects of caffeine and directly stimulate the autonomic nervous system, the part of your body that controls heartbeat, breathing, and digestion. In an aging body, this kind of overstimulation can lead to arrhythmias, or irregular heart rhythms, which increase the risk of stroke and sudden cardiac events. A 2015 study published in the Mayo Clinic Proceedings found that older adults who consumed energy drinks had a 300% increased risk of developing arrhythmias, especially those with existing heart conditions like atrial fibrillation, valve disease, or mild congestive heart failure. In simpler terms, if your heart already works harder because of age, energy drinks can push it over the edge without any visible warning. And it gets worse when consumed in the morning, when your blood is still thick from overnight dehydration and your vessels are still adjusting to the day. That combination, thick blood, tight vessels, and a high dose of stimulants, can be deadly. I remember a case clearly. Mr. Long, 66 years old, used to drink a popular orange-flavored energy drink every morning. He said it helped him wake up fast and replaced his need for coffee. He had no history of high blood pressure or heart disease. But one morning, shortly after his usual drink and while brushing his teeth, he collapsed and was rushed to the ER. Diagnosis: sudden onset of atrial fibrillation with a minor stroke. His morning blood pressure had spiked, and his heart rhythm had gone from steady to chaotic within 20 minutes of consuming the drink. The doctor who treated him explained that the combination of caffeine, sugar, and stimulants in his energy drink triggered a surge of adrenaline, overwhelming his aging heart. Even so-called healthier energy drinks or sports recovery drinks can be risky. Many of them contain high sodium, artificial colors, preservatives, and sugar alcohols that place a burden on the kidneys, elevate blood pressure, and cause electrolyte imbalances. These side effects may not appear immediately, but over time, they contribute to fatigue, muscle cramps, and even fluid retention. For seniors taking blood pressure medication or diuretics, this is a dangerous combination. You may be undoing the work of your medication every time you take a sip. Many people assume that because energy drinks are sold in supermarkets, they must be safe. But regulation around these beverages is loose, and the impact on older adults is rarely considered. Energy drink labels often don't clearly list the exact stimulant content, and some ingredients are listed under vague terms like proprietary blend. That means you could be consuming more than you realize, especially if you mix it with coffee or take it alongside medications that affect your nervous system. So what should you do if you feel tired in the morning but want a natural energy lift? The answer is gentle hydration, light movement, and the right nutrients. Start with a glass of warm lemon water with a small pinch of Himalayan salt. This helps replenish electrolytes, rehydrate the body, and gently stimulate circulation without triggering your heart. Follow that with a light breakfast that includes healthy fats and protein, such as oatmeal with walnuts, or scrambled eggs with avocado. These stabilize your energy and help your body wake up gradually. If you miss the fizz of energy drinks, try a glass of sparkling mineral water with a slice of ginger or cucumber. If you crave flavor, brew a cup of ginseng tea or green tea, which contain lower levels of caffeine and beneficial compounds that support brain function and blood flow without the crash. One of my patients, Mrs. Lon, used to drink canned energy drinks every day at 7 a.m. She was always anxious, had poor sleep, and was on medication for blood pressure. After switching to a 10-minute walk outside, lemon water, and a homemade smoothie with chia seeds, her energy improved, her sleep deepened, and she was able to reduce her medication under her doctor's supervision within 3 months. Energy doesn't have to come from a can. It can come from oxygen, from water, from nutrients, and from daily habits that respect your body's natural rhythms. You don't need to shock your system to feel alive. In fact, after 60, it's those gentle, nourishing practices that help you live longer and better. So the next time you reach for an energy drink in the morning, pause. Read the label. Ask yourself, do I really want my day to start with a chemical jolt or with calm clarity and steady strength? Because your heart, your brain, and your future health are all waiting on that answer. Of all the choices you make in the first hour after waking, perhaps none is more overlooked and more critical than drinking a glass of plain water. It sounds too simple to be important, but for people over 60, skipping that first drink of water in the morning is one of the most dangerous habits. And not because it feels harmful, most people don't even notice they've skipped it, but because the consequences unfold quietly, inside your blood vessels, heart, and brain. When you sleep, your body goes 6 to 8 hours without any fluid. During that time, you lose water through your breath, your skin, and your kidneys. You may not feel thirsty the moment you wake up, but make no mistake, your body is already mildly dehydrated. And that dehydration triggers a chain reaction, your blood becomes thicker, your vessels become narrower, and your heart has to pump harder to move blood through the body. If the first thing you drink is not water, but instead coffee, juice, or an energy drink, you're compounding the problem with caffeine, sugar, and chemicals that constrict your arteries even more. For older adults, whose arteries are already less elastic, this extra strain can tip the balance toward a dangerous outcome: stroke, transient ischemic attacks, TIAs, or sudden spikes in blood pressure. In fact, a major study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that morning dehydration increases the risk of ischemic stroke by up to 2.7 times, especially within the first 2 hours after waking. That's because your brain, already sensitive to oxygen and fluid levels, becomes vulnerable when blood is slow, thick, and struggling to reach the farthest corners. Let me share the story of Mrs. Hoa, a 68-year-old woman from Ben Thuan. She was active, had normal blood pressure, and walked every day. Her only bad habit was skipping water in the morning. She said, "I'm not thirsty, I just take my pill with juice and start the day." One morning, while cooking, she suddenly felt dizzy, lost balance, and fell. A CT scan revealed a mild ischemic stroke, and her doctors were puzzled. She had no risk factors, no hypertension, no diabetes. But when they reviewed her morning routine, it became clear: cold juice plus diuretic medication plus no water created the perfect storm. Her blood had thickened, her vessels were dehydrated, and her pill lowered her pressure further. The result was a vascular collapse, one that could have been prevented with a single glass of plain water. This isn't an isolated case. Many older adults believe that drinking coffee or juice counts as morning hydration. But those beverages don't serve the same purpose. Coffee is a diuretic, which causes more fluid loss. Juice spikes blood sugar, which increases inflammation. Only plain water hydrates without complication, without strain, without stimulation, without side effects. You might ask, how much water do I need? The answer is not complicated. For most seniors, starting the day with 250 to 300 milliliters, about 1 glass, of room temperature water is enough to rehydrate your system, improve circulation, and support mental clarity. Don't drink it too fast, sip it gently. Don't make it too cold, it shocks the stomach and slows digestion. And don't skip it just this once, because one skipped morning often becomes a habit. Beyond hydration, drinking water first thing in the morning helps flush toxins that your kidneys have filtered overnight. It also prepares your digestive system for breakfast, supports bowel movements, and reduces the risk of constipation, a common but under-discussed issue in the elderly. There's also a strong link between morning hydration and brain function. Dehydration decreases the delivery of glucose and oxygen to the brain, which can cause symptoms like confusion, lightheadedness, difficulty concentrating, and even slurred speech, symptoms that are often misread as signs of just getting older, when in fact, they're signals of poor cerebral circulation. One of my patients, Mr. Fuck, age 70, had no major health issues but complained of feeling off each morning, sluggish, mentally dull, and unmotivated. He thought it was normal aging. But after adjusting his morning routine to include a full glass of water before anything else, his mental sharpness improved within a week. He said, "It's like my brain wakes up properly now." That's not magic, it's biology. So why do so many seniors skip this step? Part of it is habit. Part of it is the misconception that thirst should come first, but by the time you feel thirsty, your body is already dehydrated. As we age, the thirst signal weakens, so waiting until you feel like drinking is already too late. That's why hydration after sleep must be intentional, not reactive. Here's a simple system I share with my patients. Leave a glass of water by your bed at night. As soon as you wake up, sit up slowly, then sip the water calmly before even standing up. Wait 10 to 15 minutes before coffee, tea, or breakfast. If taking medication, use that moment as a hydration anchor, but use water, not juice or milk. This single step can reduce dizziness, stabilize blood pressure, improve kidney function, and protect against morning strokes, all without pills, supplements, or medical intervention. It's a zero-cost, high-impact routine that every senior should embrace. So tomorrow morning, before your coffee, your breakfast, your news, or your phone, pause. Look at that glass of water. Know that it's not just hydration. It's protection. It's a safeguard for your heart, your brain, and your future. And sometimes, the quietest health choices are the ones that protect you the most from what you never saw coming. Every year, thousands of older adults experience a transient ischemic attack, often called a mini-stroke, and many of them don't even realize it. Why? Because the signs are subtle, temporary, and easy to dismiss as just tiredness, a dizzy spell, or bad sleep. But for people over 60, especially those who skip hydration or consume the wrong drinks in the morning, recognizing the early warning signs of a TIA can mean the difference between prevention and permanent damage. Let's begin with what a TIA really is. It's a brief interruption of blood flow to the brain, usually caused by a small blood clot that temporarily blocks an artery. Unlike a full stroke, a TIA doesn't always leave permanent damage, but it's a serious red flag. In fact, according to the American Stroke Association, 1 in 3 people who experience a TIA will go on to have a full stroke, often within days or weeks. That's why every episode must be treated as a medical emergency, even if it disappears quickly. The problem is, many seniors don't recognize these episodes when they happen. The symptoms may last just a few minutes. By the time they decide to act, the feeling has passed and they shrug it off. That's a dangerous mistake. Especially in the early morning, when the blood is thick, vessels are tight, and hydration is low, the chances of a temporary blockage increase. The warning signs are there, you just have to know how to hear them. Here are some of the most commonly ignored signs of a TIA. A sudden drooping on one side of your face, especially when smiling or brushing your teeth. Difficulty speaking clearly, you might slur your words, forget simple phrases, or sound off to those around you. A sudden weakness or heaviness in one arm or leg, making it hard to grip, lift, or walk properly. A brief episode of blurred or double vision, even if only in one eye. Sudden loss of balance, dizziness, or the feeling that the room is spinning. A sharp moment of confusion, such as not remembering where you are, how to say something, or what you were doing. These symptoms may last only 1 to 10 minutes. They may stop before you have time to ask for help. But that doesn't mean they aren't serious. If your speech, vision, strength, or mental clarity suddenly change without explanation, that's not aging, it's a warning. Let me share a story. Mr. Hoa, 72, told me he had a strange moment while watching TV one morning. He reached for his glass of water but couldn't quite grip it. He dropped the cup, and for a few seconds, his hand felt numb. His wife noticed he wasn't smiling normally, but within 2 minutes, everything seemed fine again. He thought maybe he slept wrong or was tired. A week later, he had a major stroke that left the right side of his body partially paralyzed. His doctors later confirmed that the earlier episode was a clear TIA, a moment when his body was trying to say, pay attention. In hindsight, Mr. Hoa realized that he'd had morning blood pressure fluctuations, often skipped his first glass of water, and drank sweet coffee on an empty stomach. All of those things increased his clotting risk, and his body gave him a preview of what was to come. But he, like so many others, didn't recognize the signal. So how do you protect yourself? Start by understanding your body's early messages. Keep a simple morning log of how you feel. Is your speech smooth? Is your grip steady? Is your balance normal when you get out of bed? These microchecks take just 30 seconds but can alert you to changes before they become emergencies. If anything feels off, even briefly, don't wait to see if it gets worse. Call a loved one. Contact your doctor. Go to the emergency room if needed. It's always better to be safe than sorry, because when it comes to the brain, time is everything. Even if you don't experience a full-blown TIA, these signs may still indicate microvascular damage, tiny strokes you don't feel, but that accumulate over time and increase your risk of dementia, balance issues, or chronic fatigue. The earlier you intervene, the more you can prevent. Hydration is your first line of defense. A well-hydrated body is better at preventing clot formation, keeping blood thin and flowing smoothly to the brain. Combine that with avoiding sugary or stimulant-laden morning drinks, and you've already reduced your risk dramatically. One more important tip: if you live alone, consider installing a morning check-in system. This could be a health tracking app, a call to a friend, or a smartwatch that monitors your vitals. Many TIAs happen when no one else is around to see them. Having even one form of external feedback can be life-saving. So the next time you fumble your words, feel a hand go numb, or notice your smile doesn't look quite right, don't brush it off. That's your body whispering before it screams. And at this stage in life, listening to the whisper is what saves your future. After everything we've covered, the sugar, the caffeine, the artificial sweeteners, the hidden salt and stimulants, what's the single most important takeaway for people over 60 when it comes to morning drinks? It's not a complicated supplement. It's not a secret herbal remedy. It's not something sold in a bottle. It's something that's already in your kitchen, costs nothing, and yet has the power to protect your brain, lighten your blood, stabilize your pressure, and extend your life. It's a simple glass of water. Yes, plain, room temperature water, taken first thing in the morning, on an empty stomach. It may not sound exciting, but it's one of the most powerful habits an older adult can adopt. And the science behind it is stronger than most people realize. Let's look at why it matters so much, especially after the age of 60. When you wake up, your body is dehydrated. That's true even if you don't feel thirsty. During sleep, you lose fluid through your breath, skin, and urine. By morning, your blood is thicker, your circulation is slower, and your brain hasn't received fresh hydration for 6 to 8 hours. If your first drink is coffee, juice, or soda, you're not helping that situation, you're making it worse. But if your first action is to drink 250 to 300 milliliters of plain water, you immediately give your heart and brain what they desperately need: fluid to move oxygen, to thin the blood, and to wake up your cells. This isn't opinion, it's fact. Studies in clinical nutrition journals show that early morning hydration reduces stroke risk, improves blood pressure, and sharpens mental clarity, especially in adults over 65. It also supports kidney function, aids digestion, prevents constipation, and helps your medications absorb more effectively. Let me share a true story from a patient I once worked with. Mrs. Lean, 70 years old, had no major illnesses but struggled with morning dizziness, irregular blood pressure readings, and occasional memory lapses. She had a long-standing habit of skipping water, going straight to coffee and breakfast. After just 3 weeks of starting her day with one full glass of water before anything else, her blood pressure readings became more stable, and her dizziness completely disappeared. Even better, her energy levels improved throughout the day. Nothing else changed. No new diet. No new pills. Just water. Why does this happen? Because your brain is 75% water, and even mild dehydration reduces its ability to function. Your blood is 90% water, and thickened blood struggles to flow through narrow arteries, especially if you already have age-related narrowing or plaque. Water improves this flow. It brings nutrients, removes waste, and reduces the stickiness that can lead to clot formation. That's why doctors say, hydration is the cheapest stroke prevention strategy there is. You may be thinking, I already drink water during the day, isn't that enough? The answer is, not if you skip the first hour. The body is most vulnerable right after waking, when vessels are constricted and blood flow is slow. That's when hydration matters most. You can drink all the water you want later in the day, but if you miss this key window, you're missing the moment where a small action has the biggest effect. So how do you make this habit stick? Here's a simple 3-step routine I give to all my senior patients. 1. Place a glass or water bottle beside your bed the night before. 2. When you wake up, sit up slowly and drink the full glass before standing. 3. Wait 10 to 15 minutes before drinking anything else or taking medication. Optional bonus: if you want to add gentle support, you can infuse the water with 2 to 3 slices of cucumber, a squeeze of lemon, or a few mint leaves, but plain water is perfect on its own. The point is to build the habit, not complicate it. If you've been following this video up to now, you already know that avoiding harmful morning drinks is critical. But avoiding the bad is only half of the equation. You also need to begin with the good. And there's nothing better, nothing safer, more natural, or more healing than the simplest gift: a glass of water. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm rings and the day begins, don't rush to your phone, don't rush to the coffee pot, and don't rush to check your blood pressure. Pause. Breathe. And drink your water. Because in that moment, you're not just starting a new habit, you're starting a new future. A future with clearer thoughts, steadier steps, healthier blood vessels, and a brain that continues to serve you well for years to come. And that, more than any medication, is a true act of self-care. Now that you've seen how a simple glass of water, or the lack of it, can change everything after age 60, I hope you understand that the most powerful health decisions are often the smallest ones. It's not always about new medications or complex treatments. Sometimes, it's just about choosing water before coffee. Swapping juice for a whole fruit. saying no to an energy drink, and yes to your circulation. Every morning gives you a new opportunity not just to wake up, but to protect your brain, your heart, your memory. Your body doesn't need more stimulation. It needs more support. And that support begins with hydration, stability, and the wisdom to treat your mornings gently. You don't need to change your entire lifestyle. You just need to start your day with awareness, with choices that respect your age, your arteries, and your future. Because aging well isn't about luck. It's about quiet, repeated actions that build strength from the inside out. So tomorrow, when you reach for your morning drink, pause. Remember what you've learned. And choose the path that keeps your blood flowing, your mind sharp, and your life moving forward. One glass of water. One better choice. That's all it takes to begin. Because the most life-saving action you'll take today might be the first one you take tomorrow morning.